Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be discussing Anton Chekhov's The Black Monk. It's in one of these cute commemorative Penguin editions, 60 pence for 60 years of publishing Penguin, which, so you know, on this channel we're big fans of Penguin and their work. This is a characteristic Russian short story capable of exploring so much in so little time. It's only about 40 pages in this edition. At the heart of the story is, what is the price of greatness? What is the risk inherent in going against the majority, sometimes even going against the advice and desires of the people who love you? What what do you risk? And what is the price of the easy mediocrity which the world so often offers? Let's start with just hearing some of the way, if you haven't heard Chekhov before, I don't like classifying all the Russian authors as similar because they write so differently, but they're all able to tell you so much in so little space. Here's an example. Yegor Pisotsky was up already when they returned to the house. Kovrin did not feel like sleeping, got into conversation with the old man, and went back to the garden with him. Yegor Pisotsky was a tall, broad-shouldered man, with a large paunch. Although he suffered from short breath, he always walked so fast it was hard keeping up with him. He had an extremely worried look, and was always hurrying off somewhere, as if all would be lost should he be just 1 minute late. And what's interesting about Pisotsky, as we learn, is that despite the fact that he's become fairly successful, he is worried about losing it all, and he's worried about passing it on to the next generation. Kovrin is our, if you want to call him, protagonist in this story, and he was raised by Pisotsky when Kovrin's parents died when he was a very young child. And so he feels they both have a love for each other. And this develops it as Kovrin is an admiration. Pisotsky is in admiration of what Kovrin has achieved. The book starts with noting that he's an MA, right? That he's a master. He's on his way to potentially getting a professorship. And Pisotsky thinks of him as a son, but also wants him to potentially marry his daughter. And what does it mean to be called to greatness? Now, the mention of the Black Monk, the title character of this story, Kovrin is not the Black Monk. So Kovrin meets the Black Monk. The Black Monk is a story, something like the Traveling Jew, where the monk moves around and people may see him from time to time. And Kovrin meets this Black Monk and has conversations with him, and there are all sorts of points that the Black Monk makes to him. And here's part of their conversation. So this is Kovrin. But I know one thing. When you've gone, I'll start worrying whether you really do exist. You're a phantom, a hallucination. Does that mean I'm mentally ill, insane? Even if that were so, why let it bother you? This is the monk. You're ill from overworking. You've worn yourself out. I'm trying to say that you sacrificed your health for an idea, and it won't be long before you sacrifice your very life to it. What could be better? All noble spirits blessed with gifts from on high have this as their aim. Kovrin. If I know that I'm mentally ill, how can I have any faith in myself? The Black Monk. But how do you know that men of genius, in whom the whole world puts its faith, haven't seen ghosts too? Nowadays, scientists say genius is akin to madness. My friend, only the mediocre, the common herd, are healthy and normal. Thoughts about an age of neurosis, overwork, degeneracy, and so on can seriously worry only those for whom the purpose of life lies in the present. That is, the common herd. Kovrin. The Romans used to speak of mens sana in corpore sano. So that is a sane mind in a sane body. The Black Monk responds, not all that the Greeks and Romans said is true. Heightened awareness, excitement, ecstasy, everything that distinguishes prophets, poets, martyrs to an idea from ordinary people is hostile to man's animal side. I mean his physical health. I repeat, if you want to be healthy and normal, go and join the herd. And what is that thin line between being called to genius and insanity and narcissism? And the Black Monk is pointing out, quite rightfully so, that any call to greatness requires imbalance at the very minimum level in your physical life. So whether that's building a business or working as as a professional athlete or doing research, that these things become obsessive. And that obsession will lead to your isolation from family and friends, and sometimes a cost of your physical health. Sometimes you will sleep less. Not probably in the case of the athlete who's got to tune his or her body, but everyone else will work obsessively building that business, doing that research, whatever it might be, chasing a particular idea. There is a cost to this. The Black Monk is romanticizing it, and Kovrin is following that romanticization, but that's a real question that has to be asked, and that's at the heart of this short story. If you're liking what you're hearing so far, welcome to the channel. Hit like, subscribe, consider watching other videos that we have here. So as I say, Kovrin and Piasecki discuss the possibility of marriage with Piasecki's daughter, and Tanya is the potential bride. And this little commentary here reminds me of something in Turgenev's Fathers and Sons, where so often the things that are brought out for a great celebration are missed by the people celebrating. Very famously, in the wedding feast at Cana, the steward says to the groom, people usually don't save the good wine till the end. They wait till everyone gets drunk and they bring out the subpar wine. But I think realistically, so often, even at great feasts, great weddings where people have taken all this time to pick the right details, oftentimes this is missed by the people there celebrating with you because they're not there to pick out, is this a great delicacy? I remember being at a wedding feast in Romania, and just so many dishes came out. At some point, I think after course number 8, number 9, I just thought, is this going to keep happening? And I hadn't planned. I had been eating heartily from earlier courses, not being bright enough to ask the people around me, hey, how many courses are served at a Romanian wedding? The Feast of the Assumption came unnoticed, and soon afterwards the wedding day, which, as Piasecki insisted, was celebrated with a great splash, that is to say, with senseless festivities that went on for 2 whole days. They got through 3,000 rubles worth of food and drink, but with that miserable hired band, the riotous toasts and scurrying servants, the noise and the crush, they did not appreciate the expensive wines, nor the startling delicacies that had been ordered from Moscow. So, we're 3/4 of the way through the short story at this point, and we come to the disaster. And the disaster is, one night, Kovrin is speaking with the Black Monk. The Black Monk periodically comes in and out of his life, and Tanya realizes that he's speaking to a phantom, speaking to a hallucination. When the clock struck 5, he was sitting on the bed, his feet dangling over the carpet. He turned to the monk and said, "In antiquity, a certain happy man grew scared of his own good fortune in the end. It was so immense. So, to propitiate the gods, he sacrificed his favorite ring. Do you know that I myself, like Polycrates, am getting rather uneasy about my own good fortune? It seems strange that from morning to night I feel only joy. It fills my whole being and stifles all other feelings. As for sorrow, sadness, or boredom, I just don't know what they are. Here I am, unable to sleep, suffering from insomnia, but I'm not bored. Seriously, I'm beginning to wonder what it all means." "But why?" the monk said in astonishment. "Is joy something supernatural? Shouldn't it be looked on as man's normal state? The higher man's intellectual and moral development, the freer he is and the more pleasure life gives him. Socrates, Diogenes, and Marcus Aurelius experienced joy, not sadness. And the apostle says, 'Rejoice evermore.' So, rejoice and be happy." "But supposing the gods suddenly became angry," Kovrin said jokingly, and burst out laughing. "If they were to take my comforts away and make me freeze and starve, I don't think I would like that." And Chekhov, being a playwright first and foremost, allows this telegraphing of what happens next. The gods becoming angry. I'm going to lose everything. Meanwhile, Tanya had woken up, and she looked at her husband in horror and bewilderment. He was talking to the armchair, laughing and gesticulating. His eyes shone, and there was something peculiar in his laughter. Andre, who are you talking to? She asked, clutching the hand he had held out to the monk. Andre, who is it? What? Who? Kavrin said, taken aback. Well, to him. He's sitting over there, he said, pointing to the black monk. There's no one here. No one. Andre, you're ill. Tanya embraced her husband and pressed herself against him, as if to protect him from ghosts, and covered his eyes with her hand. You're ill, she sobbed, shaking all over. Forgive me, my dearest, but for some time now I've noticed something's wrong with you. You're sick in your mind, Andre. Her trembling infected him as well. He looked once more at the armchair, which was empty now, and felt a sudden weakness in his arms and legs. This frightened him, and he started to dress. It's nothing, Tanya, nothing, he muttered, trembling. But to tell the truth, I am a little unwell. It's time I admitted it. I noticed it some time ago, and Papa did too, she said, trying to hold back her sobs. You talk to yourself, you smile so strangely, you're not sleeping. Oh, good God, save us, she said in horror. But don't be afraid, Andre dear, don't be afraid. For God's sake, don't be afraid. She's the one who's totally paranoid, afraid, scared. And I won't tell you how the book ends, but it does in the same satisfying way that so many Russian stories do. But there's a question here about the people who love you, the people around you, and the idea that a prophet is never welcomed in his own country, in his own town, among his own family. That very often, the people who will be least supportive of your endeavors, even if you should be touched by great genius, are your family members, your friends, the people around you, the people in your community. And there is a certain madness that is necessary to continue pursuing something amidst the fear of those around you who see what you're doing. They see that you are happy. They see that you talk with ghosts, whatever that might be. And that scares them. They're not where you are. They don't understand. And they'd rather pull you down to what is normal for them. And they drug him. And as I say, I'll let you, it's not a long story. There's lots of recorded versions of this online, so you could listen to it on audio if you'd like. But one of the ways you can support the channel is by buying a copy. There's a link in the description. But there is a real question of trusting yourself, and how hard is it to trust yourself when the world wants to pull you down to a level of mediocrity. Easy mediocrity. Go to work, punch the time clock, come home. And in a sense, there's nothing wrong with that. As the black monk says early on in the story, if you want to be healthy, join the herd. But if you're willing to risk it all, then you can reach for greatness. Be aware of what that cost is. So there, you are going to pay a price for greatness. That's been chronicled all throughout history. At least be aware of it and know that it may be a very lonely path to tread. So Anton Chekhov, The Black Monk, probably maybe one of the few short stories we've done on the channel. Another Russian, actually back there on the all-time list, How Much Land Does a Man Need? By Tolstoy. Wonderful story. And this falls into that same category of so much and so little. And if you haven't read Anton Chekhov before, this might be a good place to start. If you liked what you heard, consider hitting like, subscribe. That's free. It's one way you can easily support the channel. Share this with other people who, like you, might be interested in literature, particularly Russian literature. If you'd like to thank me for this review, there's links to PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee below. If you'd like to support me on an ongoing basis, there's links to Patreon, YouTube membership. You'll get early releases to videos like this one, as well as have a chance to talk with me behind the scenes and get videos that are not released to the general public, but just to my supporters. If you'd like to nominate a book for the future, head down to my Amazon wish list, which is also linked below, and you'll be able to pick a book, send it to me, effectively nominate that book, and then I will do my best to review it in a timely manner. Until next time, enjoy your reading.